My name is Derek Matovu from Kampala, Uganda. It's a lovely afternoon. The time now is 10 minutes past midday. I'm the CEO of Kakasi Sports Services. Like you all know, Kakasi Sports Services, we're a Faecal Sludge collection, and we're a Faecal Sludge emptying and transportation company that is operating in Uganda. We are committed to saying that every household in Uganda has a clean facility. Some of our services include emptying of latrines and septic tanks. We do, besides cleaning, we do thorough cleaning of the septic tanks after emptying them. We do rubbish removal. There's a very big challenge that is being faced in our areas, broken manholes. So we do manhole cover repairs. We've gotten a big challenge where many of our clients get issues with broken manhole covers, which is a very big risk to the communities, especially for the young children. So we basically help them to repair their manholes so that their children and animals don't fall into their septic tanks. We provide advisory services to our clients. So today I'm here to share about Faecal Sludge management in low-income settlements of Kampala, Uganda. Kakasi Sports Services is operating in Kampala, which is the capital city of Uganda. Kampala has a population of 3.6 million people and a daytime population of 5.8 million people. That means there's about 1.2 million people that come to work every day in Kampala and live. So Kampala has an estimated household of 478,000 households. Of these households, 90% of these households rely on unsewered facilities. Kampala district is made up of 5 municipalities. 5 municipalities make up Kampala district. This is Kampala Central, Kawempe Division, Machindi Division, Nakawa Division, and Ndubaga Division. Machindi and Ndubaga Division host 60% of the informal settlements in Kampala. There are approximately 414,000 people from Ndubaga Division, where Kakasi Sports Services, we give most of our services in Ndubaga Division. Ndubaga Division has about an estimated population of 414,000 people that live in the informal settlements. This makes us about 78,000 households in Ndubaga Division, which hosts the biggest informal settlement in Kampala. Ndubaga Division is made up of 13 parishes. These are the administrative structures for the district. We have the district, then we have the municipalities, and then they're broken down into parishes, then villages. So Kakasi Sports Services operates to ensure that households in Kampala have clean facilities by collecting Faecal Sludge, and we safely transport it to the treatment plants in Kampala. Kampala has 2 treatment plants. Kampala has 2 waste treatment plants. We have Lubigi, sewage and Faecal Sludge treatment plant. This plant was commissioned in 2014. It has a sewage treatment capacity of 12,000 cubic liters per day, and a fecal sludge treatment capacity of 400 cubic liters per day. But the currently, this treatment plant receives over 600 cubic overload when it comes to is the second treatment plant that is in Kampala. So all the fecal sludge that is being collected in Kampala district is taken to these two treatment plants. But remember, you said already these two treatment plants are overloaded because they receive both sewage and fecal sludge. Like we said, Kaka Accessible Services serves an average of 102 households. That's on a monthly basis. Mainly, we focus our services mainly on the informal settlements. These are the slum areas, like we said, mainly in Novaga division, because many of the private operators have abandoned these areas, and it becomes a disastrous to the environment. So Kaka Accessible, we operate one truck. We have one CISPO truck, and then we have one tricycle that is used for gulp emptying. Gulp emptying is a gulp is sort of an hand pump that is used to pump out fecal sludge from the pit latrines. Usually it experiences some challenges because sometimes it cannot go so deep when it comes to emptying of some of these pit latrines, because in most of these informal settlements, many of the households have pit latrines, and there is more solid waste in these in these latrines than the fecal. So it takes a lot of time to first sort, to first remove the solid waste from these pit latrines, and then put some water.
Sorry, Derek. Sorry, please can you put your phone on mute? Sorry, it's just a bit disruptive. Sorry to interrupt you. Thank you. Carry on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So with the gulp emptying, we use the gulp and the tricycles, and the fecal sludge is collected in drums and transported to the treatment plants. There's a big challenge when it comes to fecal sludge collection in Kampala, because there is no, for the service providers, there is no geographical service boundaries for the operators. That means any person that is doing fecal sludge collection and transportation can work in any of the municipalities without any limits. So usually we find most of the service providers run to customers that have money, and end up leaving the informal settlements unserved. And due to the fact that people, the affluent customers pay more money, so we find that many of the private operators run where there is money. So this leaves a very great challenge to the informal settlements that we operate in. Pit latrine emptying costs vary. This is it's negotiable. There is no flat. There are no flat rates for emptying. We negotiate. So the price of emptying is determined by the size of the pit, the amount of sludge in the pit, and the weather season, and the season. Usually when it is in the rainy season, when it comes to emptying of pit latrines, you don't need a lot of water to dilute the fecal sludge. So it becomes a little easier to empty. So the prices usually go down in the rainy season. So the other challenge that is being faced in these low-income settlements is the operation and maintenance of the pit latrines. Many of these pit latrines, since they are being shared by many community members, so you find that maintenance is an issue. So many of the pit latrines are in a poor state, which exposes them to sanitation-related illnesses, diseases. So there's a very big spread of sanitation-related illnesses in these informal settlements. Many of the people here, many of the people in these settlements don't practice hand washing, because they also have another issue of water. There's access. There's lack of the access to water in most of these areas is also a challenge. So water is being used in a very small quantities. So the reasons why fecal sludge management is very difficult in our low-income settlements is mainly because in low-income settlements, these the pits either usually the pits, when are full, some are abandoned. Usually pits are abandoned, and these community members go into digging of more pits, a new pit. So it becomes a habit. So when one pit is full, they end up digging a new pit a few meters away. So the culture of pit emptying becomes a very big issue, because people are used to the idea that when a pit latrine is full, you can dig a new pit latrine. And usually when they dig these new pit latrines, they usually they're not deep enough to serve the purpose, because usually these pit latrines are being dug in a rush, and depending on the size of the communities and the household, so usually these pit latrines don't serve a lot of for a long time. So the abandoned pit latrines become a threat to the community, because the flies and everything come from those abandoned pit latrines, and then cause diseases. The other issue that is being faced with giving services in these areas is the accessibility. It becomes very hard for the trucks, for the vacuum trucks, to access the areas. Some of these areas, due to the fact that many of these areas are not properly planned, and many of these areas are in wetlands. So there are so many drainage channels going through these areas and all that. So trucks are finding a way to get a truck to the site becomes a very big issue. So this limits using trucks to empty, and we opt for, and these communities opt for manual emptying of their facilities. And usually when they do manual emptying, they end up pouring this fecal sludge into the environment, which contaminates the water around. And when it rains, this fecal sludge gets its way into the communities. So this also becomes a very big challenge, in these low-income settlements. The other challenge faced is that many of these facilities are shared facilities. Many toilets, many pit latrines are being shared by more than one household. So usually when they are full, it becomes hard for them to collect money at a go so that they are able to request for emptying services. So this becomes a very big challenge that they cannot raise money at the same time. So usually it takes them a long time to collect this money, while it's an urgency to empty their facilities. So due to the fact that they have to wait for some of the users of the facility to raise the money because these people have different income levels. So this becomes a very big challenge also in these communities. So they have to wait until when they raise the money. So usually when they fail to raise this money, they always want to find a solution for themselves. So some end up pouring manually, emptying their pit latrines and pouring the fecal into the drainage system. So which also becomes a very big problem to the environment. Another issue is the house construction. The house construction in these areas is not planned. So, like we said, access to service truck access to this area, it becomes difficult because of the poor construction plans. Most of these settlements are not planned. Usually they never get plan approvals from the municipalities. So usually they've just, some have temporary housing facilities that they have constructed. So taking services to them, like the trucks, it becomes a little hard to take a CISPO truck in this community to give them so that you are able to empty their facility becomes a little hard. The other issue that is being faced with the low-income settlements is, like we said, many of these households have pit latrines. So usually the technology that we use are the gulpers. So usually these gulpers have they're not so deep that, for example, if the facility is say 50 feet and the gulp pipe is about 20 feet, so that means we are not able to get out the fecal sludge that is below below what the gulp can get out, can pump out of the pit latrine. And like we said, in most of these pit latrines, there is more solid waste than fecal waste. So you find their bottle tops, their clothes, all sorts of things are in these pit latrines. So it takes a lot of time for an emptying person to first sort the solid waste out and then get out the fecal sludge. So this is one of the reasons that many people run away from giving services to such communities, because the time they spend on one job, if it is emptying a good septic tank that has only fecal, it takes them less than an hour. That with this kind of setup, you find that you have to use about 3 to 4 hours, and it takes a very long process because usually you have to first pour water to dilute the fecal sludge. So you lose on the time, and then due to the fact that we say that some of these people cannot afford paying for these services, you end up reducing the prices for them, so that you make it affordable for them. So possible focuses. As CACA services, these are the possible focus areas for better fecal sludge management in low-income settlements in Kampala. One, there is need for better technology and equipment. We believe for better service delivery in these areas, there is need for better technology, like the poo-poo pump. The poo-poo pump is the best option for some of these areas because usually the trucks are parked along a distance from the facility, so you run the pipes in very deep inside. So with such technology and equipment, you are able to serve these communities. Secondly, there's need for wash campaigns. Like we said, many of these people don't practice because hygiene is a chain. After the toilet, you have to wash your hands, drink boiled water and all that. So usually in these communities, there is less awareness that is being created among these community members. So there's need for wash campaigns in these areas so that the hygiene and sanitation of these areas is being improved. There's also need for solid waste removal services. Usually in most of these areas, garbage collection and is a paid service. So usually some of these people cannot afford paying for such services. So they end up pouring some of the solid waste in the latrine. So there's need for solid waste. There's need to advocate for domestic waste collection services in this area, so that the solid waste doesn't end up in these pit latrines. Lastly, there is need for communal toilets. Once communal toilets are being constructed in these areas, so that means rules, terms, and conditions will apply. People pay for the service. So once this money is collected and there is need for emptying of these facilities, it becomes easy to call on the service providers to come and empty the facility. So this brings about order in the community. My conclusion is, looking at the rate of urbanization and population growth, creating formal units, creation of informal settlements is likely to increase, which means the sanitation situation is going to worsen in these informal settlements because of the population increases. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Derek, for that presentation. Yeah, I think we all got a lot of insight into what it's like on the ground. We have a few questions for you. Let me just scroll up. So we have this question that says, with the accessibility challenge, what is the maximum horizontal distance the truck can exhaust the waste from the pits?
It depends on the one. it depends on the technology you are using. For example, if you have a purple pump, you can run a pipe close to 500 meters away, because this is a pressure pump that helps to pump out fecal in a very long distance to the truck. But if it's a truck only, usually depends on the pump and the mechanical condition of the truck. But usually most of the trucks are less than 50 meters.
Okay, cool. And then somebody asked before, how does one get access to the statistics you've provided? I think this was in the beginning of your presentation. You provided us with some stats.
Yeah, well, we get the statistics from the municipal councils, because it's the KCCA.
Got you.
Yeah, it provides us with data on each municipality and villages.
Yeah, so everyone, like KCCA is your source of information. And then we have a question from Baker. Hi, Baker. Is Kaka Cesspool a member of the Fecal Sludge Associations in Uganda, Kampala?
I've not heard that. I beg your pardon.
Is Kaka Cesspool a member of the Fecal Sludge Associations in Uganda, Kampala?
Yes, Kaka Cesspool Services is a member of TAWEL.
Okay, cool. And then we have another question from Emmanuel, who says, thanks, Derek. Demand for sanitation definitely will increase, but the informal settlements are characterized by lack of income as well. Is it possible to have a closed chain in ensuring the waste collected be channeled into finances? In other words, have you thought about waste to wealth aspects?
Yes, we are thinking as Kaka Cesspool Services. We are thinking on models of how we can better fecal sludge collection. For example, if someone is able to pay for, if someone needs the raw materials, we are able to. They pay. We get the fecal sludge, transport it for him, so that he's able to pay for the fecal sludge. So this is going to help in motivating the community members, because they know there is money that is being paid for their fecal sludge.
Thank you. And then
as we look at other modules of how we can make many things from process for fertilizers and other briquettes and everything from the sludge.
Okay, thank you. And then we have a question from Sakiru, who's asking, is it possible to share a brief video of the process or like any photos of the technologies that you use? I do believe you have a lot of information on your website, if I'm correct. So
yeah, we are on all our social. We are on all the media media on social. On all social media platforms. It can go onto our website. We have a Facebook handle, we have an Instagram and YouTube. You can get more, we put some of our work there.
Thank you. And now we have a question from, oh, we have a lot of questions. I love this. Okay, we have a question from Dave Still. Hi, Dave. David Still, sorry. What are the typical dimensions for the pit latrines in Kampala? The depth, diameter? Can you just give us some measurements?
The pit latrine dimensions are not standard. So usually, but on average, usually a pit latrine is about depending on the water table in the area. Usually they are 50 meters deep. Some are 25, depending on the water table in the area and the topography of the area. But there's no standard. Size. Usually people excavate pits depending on how much money they have, because when they're excavating a pit for you, you have charged per meter. So usually it is about how deep your pocket is and the topography of the area and the soil formation. Usually in some areas you cannot go any deeper. Like in one of the slums in Kampala called Boaise, you cannot have a 2-meter latrine because of the water level in the area.
Of course, that makes sense.
So yeah.
Okay. Next question is, what is your experience using a poo-poo pump? If you can mention some benefits and some challenges, please.
We've not used a poo-poo pump because we've not acquired one. It's the technology that we're looking up to acquiring so that it betters our work in as we provide services in these settlements. Like I said, we have a truck, which is it's a small truck. It's a 3,700 liter tank capacity truck, and we use the gulper. The gulper is like it's like an hand pump. So what happens is we have a tricycle with drums. The drums at 120 liters. So it depends on how many drums fit and depending on how much the customer is able to pay. So when we use a gulper, the sludge is being put into the drums onto the tricycle and then transported to the treatment plant.
Okay, cool. And then 2 questions that link with each other. Are the other pits typically lined with bricks or something similar? How are they lined?
Many of the pit latrines are not lined. Usually lined latrines are in schools because they serve very big populations. So most of our latrines are not lined. So which becomes it becomes dangerous for the water bodies around because they cause water contamination. So it becomes a burden to the water sources around the area. So the water gets contaminated, and which is a situation in most of these settlements.
And what is the typical cost range for pit emptying in Ugandan shillings?
Like we said, the costing for pit emptying depends on the distance from the treatment plant, the client to the treatment plant, the size of the septic tank or the quantity of the fecal sludge, and the technology. But on average, I can give a picture. Transporting, collecting 3,700 liters of fecal sludge in a distance of 5 kilometers, between 5 and 15 kilometers, is 90,000 Ugandan shillings, which is about $25 US.
Okay. Thank you. And we have a question from Najib. Najib. How can MTs work with municipalities to improve containment, like septic tanks? Standards, conditions to improving emptying? Any insight from you? How can empties work better with municipalities to improve containment? From your
Like we said, from my experience, most of these, for example, in Kampala, like I said in my presentation, pit emptying is not regulated. So usually many unlicensed service providers are into the business, some of which empty septic tanks and pit latrines, and they end up dumping the fecal sludge in wetlands. So there's a lot of advocacy that is being done by the KCCA to ensure that standard operating procedures for fecal sludge emptying are being followed. So it is one of the challenges that we're finding with unlicensed operators in this business.
Okay, thanks for that. We have another question from Tabitha. Tabitha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Do you have any monitoring and evaluation reporting system? And if so, is it integrated with municipal reporting tools? Basically, how do you collect and update your data and progress reports?
Our data is not anywhere correlated with the municipal data, because like Kaka Successful Services is a private operator. Though we keep a lot of data when it comes to our emptying jobs and everything, but at the end of the year, we submit a report to KCCA, which is the government arm that handles, that takes the municipalities.
Okay. We have another question from Emmanuel. Oh, it's not a question, it's more of a statement. It's very nice. He says, you are doing a very good job, Derek, along with Kaka Successful. And I would strongly advocate that you join hands with other stakeholders too. A very good product would emerge if you work with some partners doing the same work, like Water for People and also the government through Sanitation Working Group. That would help all of us come with an appropriate solution to the sanitation challenge being faced globally. Thank you so much for that comment, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
David asked, David says, I have heard that pits are very deep in Kampala. 15 to 25 meters is much deeper than one generally finds elsewhere. They must take a very long time to fill up. Is that true?
Yes, pits are very deep. Like we said, there's with most of our municipalities, there is a challenge with solid waste collection. So like a lot. Like in my presentation, I said you find more solid waste than fecal. So it becomes very easy. It takes a very short time for some of these pit latrines to fill up, and most of these pit latrines are shared within, say, 10 households, and on average, each household has about 7 people. So these are facilities. So if it was being used by one and properly being used, it will take a very long time. But usually in such settlements, the pit latrines are shared facilities. So this is the reason that usually they fill up easily.
Okay, makes sense. Okay. Question from Makove again. What is the load capacity of the tricycle transport equipment?
What is the what?
The load capacity.
Okay, so each drum is 120 liters. So each tricycle, the tricycle takes nine drums. So that is 9 times 120. You're able to take about 1,000 liters of fecal sludge with a tricycle.
Okay. A question from Aya. Aya. Any collaboration with biogas generating initiatives? I think this is, you were talking about reuse and how you can, you're talking about reuse earlier on, answering another question. Have you ever thought about collaborating with biogas?
This is the direction we're thinking. We are thinking we are going to take any soon.
Yeah.
We've not gotten in that direction yet. We have been, our major emphasis is on the collection and transportation.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Another question who asks, during your presentation, you identified that the 2 fecal sludge receiving plants in Kampala are overwhelmed. Have you been faced with a scenario where they are not able to take in sludge after you have collected from pits? And if so, how did you deal with this?
Usually during the rainy seasons, many of the facilities get filled up because of the poor planning of most of our areas. So a lot of water runoff find itself in most of the facilities, both the affluent and the low-income settlements. So during that period of time, that is the peak time for business. So usually you find sometimes you're not able to dump your fecal sludge because of the capacity, and sometimes when it is beyond working time, because usually they close it at about 7, so you have to wait, keep the fecal in the truck and dump it the next following day.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, we have no more questions. If anyone else has a burning question, oh yeah, we got one just coming in by Hari Prakash. Hi, Hari Prakash. How much time will it take to empty and fill the collection tank of 120 liters? So roughly how long does that take?
Like I said, this depends. Usually, because we said there is more solid waste in most of these pit latrines, so you have to first remove the solid waste, then dilute the fecal, and then fill it. Usually, it can take about, say, if you do the first process of removing the solid, it takes about 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay.
To fill 120 liters. That's the reason why many people run away from it, because it is time consuming.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Iris. Hi, Iris. Great presentation, Derek. How do you safely dispose of solid waste emptied from pits?
How do we do what?
How do you safely dispose of the solid waste emptied from pits? So what happens with the solid waste?
There's a section where we dump the solid waste. At the treatment plant, there's a section where we put the solid waste, and then the fecal sludge at the other side. Okay.
And do you have any information on what that treatment plant does with the solid waste?
Do you have what?
Do you know what that treatment plant does with the solid waste once you dump it there?
What happens is usually they sort it. They sort, remove plastic, clothes, and usually the plastic is being recycled.
Okay.
And actually, it is that process is being funded by Water for People.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. Makove says, thanks, Derek, for the presentation. I am interested with the tricycle equipment. I request to reach out later for further information. So yes, Makove, or Derek, or Eddie, if you can leave Derek's email address in the chat box so people can reach out, that would be great if you can help me out with that. And then we have one last question from Bruce, from Prit Vajura. Hi, Bruce. Can you estimate the average number of barrels of solid waste you remove per pit? So I think Bruce is trying to get a understanding of how much solid waste on average do you remove? How many barrels of solid waste do you think, based on how you've been emptying, is removed from a pit?
Usually it depends on the family, but sometimes even get more than 100 kgs.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's a lot. But I think we all know that, you know, solid waste removal, reuse, it's a very challenging topic. So yeah. If there's no more questions, are there any last words from you, Derek? We have a lot of people in this session that could be interesting to work with, to collaborate with. Do you have any like last words, anything that you need, that you're looking for? Here's your chance to pitch.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like any other organized company, Kaka Accessible Services is we are facing challenges in trying to give services to the communities, especially working with low-income settlements. Working with low-income settlements means that they cannot pay for their services properly. So as Kaka Accessible Services, we are looking at acquiring equipment that can help us better serve these communities that are being abandoned. We call upon everyone who is ready to partner with us, both financially and in terms of financial support and networking. We are open to networking. We are ready to network with anyone who is ready to work with us, and then we can take it on from there. You can, anyone who's interested in us can visit our website, and our email address is being shared. You can go onto our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to learn more about Kaka Accessible Services.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Derek, for your very insightful presentation today. And thank you everyone for joining us again for another FSMA Spotlights. Please, if any of you have any suggestions or any ways you'd like to partner with Derek and Kaka Accessible, please do reach out. We need to work together to make this thing work. So yes, let's continue networking and sharing information with each other. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, day, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And if any of you are interested in being on an FSMA Spotlights webinar, please do reach out. My email address is michaela@fsmalliance.org. I'm going to leave it in the chat box. But please do reach out if you have a topic that you'd like to share. We would love to host you. So yes, thank you everyone. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Eddie, who's behind the scenes working and helping us out. We appreciate you so much and wish you the best with your business. Yeah, take care and goodbye.